From wherever you are in the world, hello and welcome. So we've got a couple of things that we're going to cover today in our webinar, video being the main one. What I intend to do is go over video basic features, how to start a basic video, right the way through to advanced green screen and keyframing and moving images around. So there's going to be a lot to unpack. Please take notes where you can. I will be slowing down and doing an actual output so you can see how things look and how things are going to be looking when the output is actually done. So if you have any questions, please ask us in the comments. I've got a lovely assistant by the name of Joey Parnwitz, who's brilliant, and anything that's really important, he will feed me that information and we can answer that question for you. So let's get started. I hope you have some good snacks ready. Now, for those of us who are joining us for the first time, I'm going to just reiterate some of these settings that Photo Booth Upload has. Some of you are going to be seasoned professionals, you have used PBU before, so getting into the settings and navigating around our software will be very easy for you. For the newcomers, I'm going to start off with just the basics, set down a pretty good foundation, and then we will build from there and make sure that we don't leave anyone behind. So let's get started. You can get into PBU settings by pushing either S or triple tapping on the bottom right hand side of your screen if you have a touchscreen booth to get into the settings, which we shall do now. Now, there's a very specific reason why I have left all the tabs open on the top part of the screen. A lot of you are probably dealing with a bit of clutter when it comes to PBU and you're wondering, how can I make this more simple? How can I make it easier for me to use when it comes to doing an event? Well, that's pretty easy. You head over to the miscellaneous tab and any features that you won't be using for that particular activation, you can simply turn off. So, since we're doing just video today, we'll turn off everything but video. Notice that all the tabs at the top are now simplifying. Great, we now have a less cluttered view. We don't need all the crazy features that PBU can do for now, so we will stick with just our video tab. But before we jump into the video tab, let's jump into the camera settings, just so that people are familiar with where these camera settings are, because camera settings are going to be different for both PBU video and PBU photo. So let's get in. Great, and as you can see, camera's already looking at me, so I need to pay attention right now and make sure that I'm on my game. If we head over to the DSLR settings and click on that, you will see that we have the live view video settings, and we have the standard video settings, and we have the photo settings. So for the general purposes of our webinar today, we are going to be dealing strictly with the live view and with the photo. Now, I'm not going to get too technical here. If you are a videographer or if you are a photographer, you may look at my settings and laugh and go, yes, these are incorrect. However, this is a webinar purely to discuss the functionality of PBU. We can always dial in our settings when we are at an event to make sure that the quality is going to be ace. So let's take a look at a few things. Right now, I have a Canon T5 connected to my computer. This is a camera that most of you will be familiar with, and it's the one we're going to be using for most of our video settings, except for slow motion. We'll get to that in a bit. So, our shutter speeds, ISOs, aperture, and various other camera settings are going to be here. For the purposes of our webinar, we've set them to the values that you see here. This gives us a great trade-off and compromise for the lighting settings that we have in this particular venue. You will be able to customize these according to the venue that you have to make sure that your quality settings and your lighting settings are appropriate for the venue that you have. I wanted to bring your attention to these because they're going to be separate for photo, and anyone who's not familiar with PBU, this is where they live. They're in the camera tab, head over to the DSLR tab, check out the DSLR settings, set them accordingly to what you need to do. I know that some of us who have used PBU a long time are probably yawning right now, but don't worry, let's get ourselves jumping into some more serious settings. So, video. We are going to jump into our video settings, And as you can see, the video tab currently has nothing in it. What I have is the video size, 720p, which is an HD resolution. This is a great balance and trade-off between quality and speed of processing when it comes to the venue and people getting their settings quickly and getting their output quickly when it comes to the guest receiving what they've just created. So we're going to start off with the basics. Just to give you an outline, we will be discussing plain video, we'll be discussing video questions with image, we'll be discussing intro videos and outro videos, we'll be talking about keyframe video, and we'll also be talking about green screen video. And as a bonus, we're going to be jumping in with slow motion using a Canon M50, showing you how to set up slow motion and how that's going to look. So there's a lot to cover, and hopefully we can get through it without boring you all to death. So, plain video. Where do we begin? So, we'll head over to the Add Video tab, and I'm going to call this plain, just because I'm incredibly imaginative and my imagination knows no bounds. One of the things we're going to do here is add a video overlay, just so that you have the ability to watermark or brand a particular activation. I'm sure many of you have had a corporate client say, hey, I would like to do a video, or hey, where do I do video overlays? They live on this section over here. So I'm going to click on video overlay, and I'm going to do an image. Now, a little bit of a pro tip. We are recording in 720p, which is 1280 by 720 in terms of resolution. Please size your overlay to match the aspect ratio of the video you're going to be recording in. Otherwise, stretching will occur and the quality will suffer. We'll navigate to where we've saved this. I have a lovely asset file that one of our team members so lovingly created for me. Shout out to you, Paul. Thanks very much. And let's select video overlay. Stretch mode is going to be fine for this because it's going to be the same aspect ratio and resolution. Recording duration, 5 seconds, right over here. This can be as long as you want it, but for the purposes of our webinar, we're going to keep it strictly at 5 seconds, keep it simple, and make sure that everything is going according to plan. Also, this is where you get to add an audio track, should you wish to do so. Again, I have a lovely royalty-free, mind you, music track available over here. So let's recap. I've named my video, I've set the recording duration, I've added an audio track and told the software where the audio track is by clicking on Open File and navigating to where to save to my computer. I have added a video overlay by navigating to where that is on my computer as well, making sure that it's a PNG with transparency and that it's the same aspect ratio and resolution of the intended resolution that I tend to record in. And when that's all done, it should all work just fine. So we'll click OK. And there we have it. Plain video, ready to go with an overlay and good to go. Now I'm going to tell it to automatically apply this video so that when I start recording, it will do wonderful things. Now, by the way, how many of you have been at an event and you decide to record video, and while the video is processing, you hear the audio? It can be annoying. So for the purposes of our webinar, I've told our software to mute the audio during processing, so that when people are sharing, and if you have a computer speaker connected to your booth or whatever medium you have, it won't play the audio, just keeping it a little bit quieter and a little bit cleaner and less frustrating. Okay, so let's get stuck in with our first video. I'm going to click OK. And by the way, for those of you who are wondering why I keep doing this, there's a camera directly in front of me, and I have a lovely, really lovely gaming grade Acer Predator laptop in front of me. So every time I do this, I'm looking down to actually see what I'm doing in the software, just so that you don't think I'm ignoring you or being utterly rude, which happens from time to time. Okay, so I'm going to actually disable photo because we don't need it. So we'll do that and jump straight back in. Right, here we go. Let's click on video. Now, the way I have set this to record is by manual intervention. At an event, you would likely have turned on a countdown that will begin recording the guest whenever you choose. But for me, I want a little bit more control. So say I was a very unruly and somewhat drunk guest. You wouldn't necessarily want to have the countdown immediately and just begin. You want to frame your guest accordingly. So, right, stand over here. Great. Camera's up here. Lovely. Right, you've got 5 seconds to do whatever you want. Yes, absolutely. 3, 2, 1. This is me recording a plain video. You're all wonderful. Great. The video is now going to be downloading from the Canon T5. Please make sure that you have a memory card installed in your camera at all times. Otherwise, this doesn't work. We are going to skip the processing bit and just bring up the sharing screen. As you can see, the overlay is applied. We are recording in that 16:9 framework, which is the 720p resolution. From here, the guest can either share here or they can share directly from the kiosk if you have another computer or tablet running our kiosk and connected to Wi-Fi. I'm going to click done. And guess what? We're now ready and able to take the next video when it comes to it, which is fantastic. Now what I'm going to do here is just minimize PBU, check out the kiosk, see where it is. I've got a ton of tests over there, so forgive all the previous thumbnails. I should have deleted them, but I'm also like, well, this is how it all works. So this is how that looks. As you can see, we've got a great plain video, we've got the overlay playing, all is well and good. If you have any questions, please remember to sound off in the comments and then we will get to your questions as soon as we can regarding this. Please remember also that this is a very plain overview of how the video features work in PBU, so that if you have any questions or anything that you wish that you want to know in a more in-depth section, please let us know and we will be able to take care of that for you. So let's move on to the next thing. I'm just going to close our software over here because there's a very particular thing that I want to show you. Let's open up through the kiosk, get back to the library view, and this is it. The processing preview image is incredibly useful to allow the guest to send themselves the image, or pardon me, the video prior to it finishing processing, so they don't have to wait for the entire video to process before they can send it. In turning that option on in PBU, you will see this lovely processing image thumbnail. They can then select that, done selecting, share, and then when the video is ready, it will show them that the video is ready, and they can then process the video accordingly, which is a very useful feature to have indeed. So I'm just going to open up PBU again. Hi, I'm back. No, I don't have coffee. I haven't had coffee in weeks, which is a shame because I really do want coffee. And I'm going to come over here, and that is how you add a plain video. It's very straightforward, and as you can see, all our settings are really intuitive to follow. Plain video, you turn on that, you put on the name that you want, you set the recording duration, an audio track, and a video overlay. So now let's get ourselves a little bit more creative. Let's get to the live view here so that you aren't necessarily talking to a ghost. So now, this is going to be great for our corporate clients. Say that you have a wedding couple who wish to have a question about, hey, I want to have all our nearest and dearest friends at our wedding tell us how they met us for the first time. Or perhaps a corporate client who says, what do you love most about working for X, Y, and Z company? This is a great chance to give the video question feature a try. Now, there are several ways to turn on the video question feature. You can either do an image or you can do a video. For the purposes of this particular demonstration, we are going to be doing an image. So let's open up PBU again. Lovely. Head over to the video section and let's add a video. We will call this one question. just because that's exactly what it is. And now you have the option of selecting what that question should be. It could be an image, it could be text. In this case, you would type in the question, but for our intents and purposes, we are going to do an image. So a graphic designer could create an image that asks the question, and then you can specify how long that will be displayed to the guest before that video is recorded. So I have a lovely testimonial image over there. 1 second is far too short, so I'm going to say, let's say 6 seconds. Assuming you're all fast readers. Remember, this is just a demonstration. The demonstration is there just to show you where everything is. Recording duration, 5 seconds. No one wants to see me trying to make things up for 30 seconds. It's going to be dull and boring and quite embarrassing. So we'll keep it at 5 seconds just to keep this moving along and making sure that no one is getting too bored. And yes, I would recommend including the question in the final video, because if the guest sends themselves this, it's an entire experience as to how all of this works. Again, you can specify a video overlay if you want, but for the purposes of this demo, we'll just keep it simple and just do the question, include the question, and then keep that grand. I will throw in an audio track just because I love music so much, and this is such a nice feature in PBU where you can add music tracks. If you've got the bride and groom, and the bride and groom have a special song, you can add that in if you're able to get the rights for it. Or, if there's a corporate client, you really have some flexibility to really personalize this and make this something that the guest and the client is able to enjoy.
Paul also mentioned royalty-free music from Envato, Jungle Beats, and those other stuff.
There we go. That's a pro tip right there. Just like you can get stock images, you can also get stock royalty-free music from certain websites. If anyone has any questions about that, I'm sure we have members of our team responding to the comments that you have. We'll be able to give you that information as the webinar progresses. But just like you have stock images, you can have royalty-free music, which is modern, contemporary, and really, really fun to listen to. So to recap, we are going to be doing a video question for this next segment. I've named it Question. I've told it where the image file is for that video question because our question is going to be asked via a picture. I've told the picture to stay put and not move for 6 seconds. That way our guest has a chance to read it. We'll be recording for 5 seconds. Typically for a testimonial video or something like this, you'd be more like 20 to 30 seconds so the guest has a chance to actually respond. But again, we're keeping it strictly for 5 because I don't want to bore you to death with me trying to make things up. Okay, we'll click OK, and there we go. We now have question available. And now this is where I can introduce user select. If you have more than one type of video available for your guest, turning on user select enables you to pick the appropriate activation. And then when that's done, you then do it. And then you have different options for different types of guests. So if a guest wants to say, I want to answer this question, or I want to answer that question, they have the chance to do so. So I'm going to use select here, do plain video. And just so that when it comes to calibration, I can do that. Perfect. Hi, still here, still typing. We'll come back in and let's verify that our video settings are the way we want. So we have user select enabled. Notice that question is highlighted in blue. That's telling me that that's the one that I will want to use when it's time to get going. So, question. Let's click on video. I will select video question. We'll accept. And now the video question is being displayed for 6 seconds. And when that's done, I now can record as we need to. Yes, they're wonderful people, truly. And there we go. Our video is going to process and download. While this is happening, this is where you can engage with your client and your guest and tell them, yeah, that was a great video, you did a fantastic job. And guess what? You can share it immediately from here should you wish to do so. Now remember, when it comes to PPU, the sharing options that you have turned on are the only options that are going to be available. So if you haven't turned on Instagram, or if you haven't turned on texting, those options will not be available for you to use when it comes to PPU. So please make sure that the options you wish to have available for your guests to share with are the options that you turn on and customize on our event manager. We click done, and there we go. There we are, ready for the next guest. So let's see how that turned out. I apologize for the sirens. If you can hear them, you know, we're on a bit of a crisis. So now I'm going to minimize that, head over to the kiosk, and look, here is our video. What's your favorite memory of Jamie and Corey? And, you know, that's now going to play. You can see that. It's going to go for 6 seconds, as you can see in the timer. There's my response. Yes, and then we're back. So that's how you would do a video question. Let's jump back into PBU and reiterate how that works. One thing I'm going to do during every single activation I do is come back into the software to do a recap, just so that we aren't moving too quickly and so you can see again how things are working. So how did we do video question? Went to the video tab, I clicked on add video, which brought up the screen. You can name it. In this case, name it with whatever question that you want, or if you're doing just a single question, name it question, keep it simple. I've added the question as an image file. Now, something that's fun for the wedding planners out there, you could ask the bride and groom to record a question video, where the bride and groom would record, hey, where did you meet us for the first time? That's then the video that will be played as a question to the guest. Or if you're doing a corporate, you could ask the CEO of the company to go, hey, what's your favorite thing about working for XYZ company? And that could be the video question as well. So you aren't limited to just images or text. You can really make this a proper experience, because branding is where the real revenue is when it comes to corporates. The more you can tailor that to a guest experience, the better value you add as a company offering this as a service and experience. So we went to question. We told it we want an image as a question. We found the image file saved on our computer. This image file you would create via video or via Photoshop for an image. You set the recording duration. If you have music that you have permission to use, you can add the audio track here. And that's it. If it's a corporate client, of course, you can still brand it by adding a video overlay, just like we did before for the plain video, and really make that something special for the client. Any questions? Well, hold on to them, because I'll answer them in a little while. So that's how we will work with a question video. Now, let's start getting ourselves a little bit more advanced. So now, how do we add an intro video or an outro video? Again, this is a great chance for you to really set yourself apart and stand out from the rest of the crowd. Because remember, you are able to charge premium prices for an experience. A lot of people in your markets are going to be extremely aggressive in terms of pricing. They're going to be extremely aggressive in terms of throwing in things for free, and it's a race to the bottom. You don't have to take part in that. You can set yourself aside by going, okay, what are my strengths as a company? What can I offer my clients as something that other people and other manufacturers and other photo booth providers aren't doing? So the ability to customize and make something an experience is where the value can lie. This is why people will pay you more as opposed to trying to find the best deal and going straight to the cheapest person they can find. It keeps your margins up, it keeps your revenue up, and enables the entire industry to thrive. So what are we going to be talking about next? We're going to be talking about intro and outro videos. These are great when you have an action thing that you're doing, or a client that wants a particular video added for a fun effect, or for example, clients that we've worked for in the past have been Amazon with The Tick, which is a great show, by the way, and we did a full green screen slider video for them, which had an amazing outro video to go with it. Now, you can translate this into events where, for example, it's a very specific event for a fundraiser or for someone's bachelorette. You know, you can really use your imagination to see how this goes. So let's begin. Again, S, get into the settings. We head over to the video tab and let's add a video. Now, we're building on this step by step. The reason why I started off with the very basics is because those basics will continue to carry on throughout the entire process of what we're doing here. So let's name this video Intro, Outro, just because I'm extremely creative like that. Again, recording for 5 seconds, and we can then add an audio track if we want, but for this particular demonstration, let's just keep it simple. The intro video will be created by you and will be saved locally on your machine. Here we go. Paul has so lovingly given me an intro video that I can use over here. Let's do one with music. And then you can have an outro video as well. And guess what? I have the assets ready and available for me over here. Fantastic. So now let's recap. I have intro and outro as my name. I have an intro video. This is a video that will play before the guest's recording is displayed. And then we have an outro video which will play after the guest's recording has been done. This allows you to create an entire experience. This is really good for corporate clients who want their entire brand to be all over the place. For The Tick, it was an epic soundtrack with a great little video which reminded the guest just how awesome the experience they did was. I'm going to keep video loops at 1. As for this lovely checkbox button here called reverse boomerang, we'll get to that in a moment. So to recap, intro, outro. This is still a plain video. We'll be recording for 5 seconds. I've specified where the intro video is. I've specified where the outro video is. And here's a pro tip. When it comes to the assets that you're going to be using for these videos, please make sure that they are saved locally on the computer, as opposed to pulling them from a flash drive. This just ensures reliability, it ensures stability, and should you ever suddenly unplug the flash drive during the heat of the moment in an event, you don't have to worry about balking your software. Trust me, it happens, we forget these things, so just cover yourself as much as you can. Make sure the assets are saved in a folder, preferably on your desktop where it's easy to find, and then you can easily point the software to where those assets are. For me and this webinar, they are saved on my desktop under, well, what do you know? Assets. How very useful. Great, we've now created our video. We'll click OK, and there it is. Intro, outro. Again, I'm still going to keep user select so you can see how the user select process works. So we will click OK. Yep, still here. Let's click on that video button. We'll click on video, and there you can see intro, outro is the video that's available for me to select. I'm going to click on that, click accept, and let's begin. So, that was highly amusing. I enjoyed it almost as much as you did. That's our video now downloading from our memory card. Video's processing. Oh yes. No, I'm not drunk. It's not that kind of party. And there we go. Our sharing features are now available. You can now see the intro video. Don't worry, I'll play this in the kiosk so you can see it in full. It's then going to show the guest and then the outro video. Both of them are combined into one output, and this is a fantastic thing, especially for corporates or for people who want to show off something a little bit sentimental when it comes to a celebration. And I will now click done. And here we are, ready to record the next one. Let's see how that looks in the kiosk. So we'll open up our kiosk. Here's our video testimonial video. Beautiful couple, by the way. And let's see. Here we are. There's our intro video. Fantastic work. Straight to the guest. Give that man a cup of coffee. That'd be nice. And then your outro video. Good to go. Nice and easy. Nice and straightforward. Everything we're doing so far is building upon a foundation that we've set up. And once you know the very basics of PBU, everything else is a cinch, because the foundations mean that the advanced features that are available to you become easier and easier to apply. So let's move on to our next video step. What are we going to do next? Keyframe. Keyframe videos allow you to have some incredibly creative capabilities when it comes to what you do with your video and how you manipulate it. This means that you can have the frame where the guest is moving around, zooming in, zooming out. You can have some really creative effects with this, especially if you throw lighting in and music in to the entire experience. So enough talking, let's jump in. Add video. We will call this keyframe. Again, 5 seconds. Now all the keyframe options live in our green screen section. So we'll click here and look, I already have one created, but I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete that just so that I can show you from the very beginning how all of these work. So we'll select green screen to do keyframe videos, and we will add one. Let's name this Keyframe because it's a very original name and I should patent it. We'll click on background image or video file. This is important so that this will work. If you don't have anything on here, this won't work according to plan. So what we have done is create a black JPEG as our background image. You could create anything else if you want to, but again, just for the purposes of this demo, just to show you how that all works. So I'll browse. There's a lovely black background right over here. Select that. Oh look, oh my. Well, maybe I should have slept a few more hours. I do look quite sad. Don't worry about that, we'll fix it shortly. You see where it says recording duration over here, 30 seconds. This can be as long as you want, but for us, we will just do 5. The video speed is a global setting for this particular video. So this is where you technically could do a slow motion-esque video, but please note that there won't be any ramping here, as in speeding up or speeding down. This is a global setting. If you select the video speed here, it'll be that video speed for the entire duration of whatever it is that you are recording. So just keep that in mind. Right. Now, if you have a really nice backdrop and you don't need to use a green screen, you can turn the threshold all the way down so that the lovely backdrop you have will be the backdrop that you see. Okay, so just a very, very quick recap to make sure I haven't lost anyone. What we did is we went to add video, we did keyframe, we went to the green screen in terms of video mode, we clicked the plus symbol to add a green screen, which brought us to this screen. I've named it keyframe. I've gone to the background image or video file. In this case, it'll be a plain black background. And if you have a really nice, pretty backdrop, or if you're doing a projector setup, contact our events division to ask about that. this is a great way for you then to, have a really good time and showcase the features that you are capable of doing. I've turned the chroma key settings all the way down. Don't worry, we will revisit them later, but for now, all the way to 0 so that you can see that lovely backdrop, in this case, emerald green for our backdrop. Now, remember, we are recording for 5 seconds. This is very important when it comes to adding keyframes. So I'm going to keep this exactly where it is from 0 seconds. Can you see that there's a timer where I'm moving my cursor? From 0 seconds to 5 seconds. This is showing us just how long the video is going to be. The trick with the keyframes is that you can add a specific keyframe at a specific point in time on your video, and then you can manipulate the video accordingly. So let's keep it simple for now. From 0 seconds to 1 second, I want that as is. I'll add another keyframe at 1 second. Then from 1 second, I'm going to start to change how the frame looks. I'll then add another frame. I'll make it rotate even further. Go all the way to 2 seconds. Add another keyframe. Have it rotate the other way and maybe punch in a bit. Fantastic. We'll add another keyframe over here, just because we want to show you just how crazy this can get. So now I am manipulating all these keyframes as we go. Let's make that extra tiny. And then at 4 seconds, begin to bring it back. Let's make it that big. And then let's go like that. Make it a little bit larger. And then all the way through to the end, done. So that's a lot of keyframes, right? But now let's see the effect and see how that will affect how the video looks. So if I play it, you can see the motion of how that will look. Let me play that again for those who weren't paying attention. Now, this is a great way to just have fun with the image and really manipulate it the way you want. If you were a bit more creative with that, you could keep the guest in frame and then just zoom in or zoom out as you need to without showing any kind of background. We've done this before for one of our corporate clients, and it turned out fantastically well as part of our projector video setup. So I'm now going to click OK. Before I get into that, the keyframe settings are really useful here. If you have a green screen like I do, and you have a green screen video, you can actually make the guest appear and disappear or fade in and fade out using this opacity slider right here. But this is beyond the scope of this particular demonstration, so I will leave it out for now. Just know that you have a lot of creative functions when it comes to getting this done. So I'm going to click OK. Our keyframe settings have now been saved over here. Let me now add an audio track to this to make it sound a bit more fun. Fantastic. And by the way, here's a pro tip. If your audio track is shorter than the video duration that you're going to be recording from, check the loop audio option over here so that that audio track keeps repeating while the video continues. Right, to recap, keyframe settings are on. We turned on green screen. We went through here, we named it keyframe, we selected a background image, we've told it what the duration will be, we've added all our keyframes, turned the thresholds down to 0. If you have a nice backdrop and you want the guest to be featured on that backdrop, clicked OK. I've added a lovely audio track over here, royalty free, and click OK. And there it is, keyframe, good to go. Oh, that was a lot. Even I feel tired after doing that one. But anyway, let's get stuck in. We'll click OK. Great, we're now back. Let's click on video Again, use the selectors on. And there's our keyframe video selected and good to go right over there. So I'll click accept. And let us begin. I have immense joy doing these, trust me, you have no idea. Fantastic times were had by all. So this is now downloading from our drive and it's processing. Oh yes. What I should do next time is the Brian Miller dance. For those of you who've known him for a long time, let me know if you know what it is exactly. And there we go, you can see the keyframe is moving about and looking at the video there. You can see that the frame is moving, it's pulling in, it's pulling out, it's zooming in, exactly as I had specified in the settings when we were setting up that video. This allows you to have fun effects. It allows you to have a really, really creative spin on what you want to do. You can still do overlays with this. You can still combine all the other functions and features to make this one a truly amazing success. Fantastic. Are you still with me? How are your snacks? Got a drink? I don't know where you are time-wise. It's heading for 2 o'clock over here, so get your refreshments, make sure you've got water, make sure you're taking notes because we have a couple more things to jump into and then we should be done, so we're nearly there. Next thing to step into, green screen video. This is something that we receive a lot of questions about and we've teased a little bit of the functionality with our keyframe video, but now let's really jump in and show you what green screen video looks like. So again, video tab, add video, green screen, just because. Fantastic. We will leave image question alone, go to green screen, and we'll call this, let me slow down a bit there for those who aren't familiar. I'm not going to reuse the keyframe one, I'm going to go straight here, add a green screen, so now I have a completely blank thing to do. And we'll call this green screen. Now this is going to be green screen video. So the green screen could be an image or it could be a video. Now I had the pleasure of working a BET event a few years ago. So I'm going to use that particular green screen video. I'm going to just blow this up a little bit. Those are the nice tools you have in PBU. You can manipulate the image however you want. You can manipulate that photo holder however you want. We're recording for 5 seconds. I could add an overlay file, should I wish. We'll get back to that in a moment. This is now where the threshold settings start to come in, right? You need to make sure that the green screen threshold settings you are using are appropriate for the light that you have. When it comes to video, you need constant light. You also need to make sure that the light is of a sufficient quality as to not blow out your guests and create hotspots, so diffuse it if you need to, but at the same time is able to light the subject enough to be able to do this. I think 43 will be a good number here. Let's update this preview. Great. You see me looking like a startled deer? Yeah, that's me in real life. And let's add a touch of softness to the value of 5. Just because I think that will look wonderful. There we go. So to reiterate, I've added the green screen, I've created the green screen name, I've added the background or image file, I've gone through to the threshold settings and selected the threshold according to the light I have. Frankly, you have to do this on set so you can test and make sure that everything is going according to plan. I'll then click OK. I can add an audio track again. This music is working overtime today. And let's click OK. I'll then, you can see that the green screen video is there. Let's label green screen and let's have ourselves some fun. So now when I click on video and I click on green screen, look at that. Now inserted into the green screen video, the Green screen's finally proving its worth here. And I'm now able to stand, preferably in view of the camera, which I am now, and let's record this video. So here I am, red carpet, joy. Fantastic. So we'll wait for that to download and process. There we go. This is where having that mute audio during processing is so useful, especially if you have a laptop. You don't need to keep listening to this over and over and over and over. Now, green screen video does take a little bit of time to process. The faster your computer, the better. Here's another pro tip. What we found is actually minimizing the processing view and going either straight to the share screen or to the home screen actually accelerates the processing process. So it'll process faster if you're not looking at this. If you have a separate computer for the guest to share, tell them to wait there instead. That helps the video process faster, especially on photo booths that aren't necessarily the most powerful. And as you can see over here, there's the video. The chroma key separation looks really good. You've got that green screen video background going. It looks really fantastic. The guests can then share from here, and that looks brilliant. So that's a really, really basic overview of the vast majority of some of the advanced things that you want to do in PBU. Now, I know we've been going on a bit, but there's one more thing I want to show you, and that'll be slow motion video using the Canon M50 specifically. This means I need to switch cameras, because right now I have a Canon T5 in front of me, but would you believe it, I have an M50 right over here. So bear with me while I hot swap these cameras. I'm going to go into the settings. Just to do that, I'm going to unplug the T5. I'm going to plug in the venerable M50. There we go. Canon M50 is detected. I'm going to go into the camera settings, DSLR, refresh. There we go. M50 is detected. You can tell that's the camera that's been used. And guess what? We didn't break anything, which went quite well. We'll click OK, and now we're good to go. So you can see that the view has changed, the aspect ratio has changed. No, it hasn't. Just the view of what we're looking at has changed. And now let's show you how slow motion works on the M50. On the M50 itself, please make sure that you have high frame rate enabled, which is a 120 FPS setting in the camera itself. So check out your camera documentation to show you how to do that. If you have any issues, our tech support team may be able to assist with that as well. But that's a crucial setting to make sure you've got turned on in your M50. Let's click on settings. Go to camera and make sure that we check this high frame rate video is enabled button. So this has to be enabled to make sure that everything goes well. And just to be on the safe side, PBU doesn't save your settings until you click the OK button. So right now, nothing is saved until I do this. Great. Now everything is saved. So if you make a mistake or you go, oh, I didn't mean to change that setting, simply click cancel, and then you can do it again without any consequences. Let's go back into settings, double check that that setting worked. Yes, it has. There it is, high frame rate enabled. So how does slow motion work? Head over to the video tab, add video. Let's call this one slow motion, only because I'm feeling frisky. We will now check the slow motion section. Now, this is where things get interesting. So I'm going to slow down a bit here to make sure that this makes sense. Recording duration definitely has to be on the low side here, 5 seconds. Because when you slow the video down, during playback, it'll be a much longer video. So for example, if you are recording at 120 frames per second and you slow it down, the entire video to around 30 FPS, it'll go from 5 seconds to anywhere from 12 to 17 seconds, depending on the settings you've done as a playback. So this is why you need to record for a short time when it comes to video. So what do we do first? Remember, we're recording for 5 seconds. That's a very important number to remember. Click the plus icon. Start time. So from 0 seconds to 2 seconds. Remember, we're recording for 5 seconds. So from 0 seconds to 2 seconds, I want the speed at 100%. In this case, 120 frames per second in the M50's case. Click OK. The next thing I want to do is add a second video segment. This one will be from 2 seconds until 4 seconds. Now this is where the slow motion magic happens. Remember, we are recording at 120 frames per second. If I slow this down to 25%, that means that it will play back at 30 frames per second. You can play with the start time and the end time of the slow motion based on how long you are recording. But for us right now, from 2 seconds until 4 seconds, I want the video to slow down to 25% of its original speed. 25% of 120 will be 30 FPS. I think I can still do maths. Click OK. And now the final segment, just to wrap everything up, I want to go from 4 seconds to 5 seconds, but now I want to have fun with this. I want to speed it up. So let's go to 400%. This will now make it 400% faster than the 120 FPS to exaggerate just how slow it was in the seconds before. And there we go. Segment 0 to 2 seconds, full speed. 2 to 4 seconds, a quarter of the speed, 25%. 4 to 5 seconds, 400%, jump it up, make it awesome. And remember, total recording time is 5 seconds. What we will do next is add that wonderful audio track that I love so much. You can also do an overlay at this point, but for the ease of processing, I'm just going to keep it simple. And guess what? This is where we turn on boomerang. This is where it will now reverse, boomerang, and you can have some fun with that. And let's add 2 loops. Okay? You can still add filters, you can still do a video overlay. You have all the options here, but I want to show you just the basics of how these features work and where they live, so that when it's time for you to experiment, you can get creative with how you intend this to do. Okay, so click OK, and there we go. Slow motion. I will click OK, stare my Canon M50 straight down the barrel, click video, I will select slow motion, like that, click accept, and let's begin. Great. Embarrassing moment over. Let's see how this looks. While that video is processing, your guest will then be able to share that right over here and get that done. Now, slow motion does require a really fast computer to have the best guest experience. So make sure that when you do a slow motion video that you are throwing the best hardware that you have at it. If you're running a photo booth, please make sure that you have at least 8 gigs of RAM on your booth and are running an i7 for the best experience, just so that your guests aren't waiting a long time to receive their video. Oh, look at that. That is gold. Sheer gold. Guys, if I don't see this as a picture on some wall in headquarters, I'll be very disappointed. So, as you can see there, we have the boomerang turned on. You can see it slowed down right there for that slow motion 120 FPS to 30, and then 400% boomerang straight back, and good to go. That looks incredible. So that's the overall of video that we are going to be discussing today. I know that we blitzed through things very, very quickly, but PBU has so many features and a lot of functionality, so it's really, really difficult to hit every single nuance about the features that the software has. I want to take this time to remind you that during the uncertain times we have out there in the world, this is the time that you can use to optimize your processes. In your company, look to see where you can make things better, either from a CRM standpoint, or from an organizational standpoint, or in the case of your software, learning your software to see how you can learn the tips and tricks and features so that when this is all over, you are poised to make the very best of your software features. Take a look at our support website, support.laphotoparty.com. This has fantastic tutorials to guide you step by step through certain things and teach you the knowledge that you need. So for example, if you want to learn how animated GIFs work, there's a really nice tutorial video right here that covers both basic animated GIFs and advanced animated GIFs. There'll be something similar for video with step-by-step instructions with screenshots to show you where everything is and an output of how it all works. We have this available for not only PBU, but all our software. So during this time, take a moment to come through, familiarize yourself with our software features, teach yourself some of the advanced capabilities so that if you have any issues, you can call our tech support team, and when this is all done and the world starts to get back to normal, you are able to hit the ground running and really take advantage of the features that PBU has to offer. So if you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email, vivi@laphotoparty.com, send our support team an email, support@laphotoparty.com, or just shoot me a Facebook message. That'll be the account vivlow. If you're not a friend with me, someone probably is, and you get the idea, it's social media. Thanks very much for taking the time to join us today, and I hope to speak to you again soon.